Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be talking about if the Houston Rockets should trade the fourth overall pick for Jaylen Brown this offseason. As one of the biggest talks in the offseason is what's going to be happening with Jaylen Brown this offseason. Are the Rockets going to move Jaylen Brown with him being a free agent next season and potentially leaving them the next year? And I think there's a decent possibility that that can maybe happen. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see, what I think it's going to be really interesting to see what, might take place this offseason with Jaylen Brown. With the Rockets kind of getting a little disappointed last night in the lottery, getting the fourth overall pick, there is a chance the Rockets are going to possibly try to trade the fourth overall pick for win-now players. A couple of players I have in mind to potentially trade for the fourth overall pick are guys like Jaylen Brown and Mikal Bridges. Here's another one that you can do, but I don't suggest it. Pascal Siakam, which you'd probably be getting more in that trade, but Pascal Siakam is what that is centered around. So the Rockets are trying to get win-now players. My guess would be is what they're going to probably try to do is if Harden's coming back, they're going to try to get a star for that fourth overall pick. So another star is next to Harden, whether it's Jaylen Brown or it's Mikal Bridges, and then you got the young guys with Jaylen Brown or Mikal Bridges, whoever they trade for, or Pascal Siakam in the lineup with Jabari, with three of the young guys. So you got two stars and you got three young guys in the starting lineup. I actually kind of like the flow of it. You have two, James Harden, I think at this point is still considered a superstar just because of, there's a time where he plays a little bad, and we saw it a little bit in the playoffs, but we also saw some really good where 45 points, 42 points, played amazing. So I think James Harden still has the good in him. I think at this point Jaylen Brown has to be considered a superstar. I don't think Mikal Bridges is considered a superstar, but I think he's on that all-star level. I think if he keeps it up with what he did last year in Brooklyn, or, stays in Brooklyn or goes somewhere else, wherever he is next season, I think Mikal Bridges there's a decent chance Mikal Bridges is an all-star next year. And Pascal Siakam, he's been an all-star multiple times, and he's an all-star type player. So to pair two all-stars with each other, and then you got the young guys of Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun to develop the three guys to develop with the young stars. With the older stars, and then you got Ime Udoka running that really unique starting lineup. I think it would be really nice. Now, is that a trade Boston would be interested in doing? I just think, I think the only way it happens is if Boston doesn't win the NBA championship. If they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, which they just lost Game 1, not saying the Heat are going to guaranteed to win the series at all, but I do think Boston, I will say that I think that if Boston does not win Game 2, I think the series is over. And I say that because Miami's up 1-0. If Miami goes back home to Miami up 2-0, I think it's deadly for the Boston Celtics because Miami is 5-0 at the playoffs at home this year. In the playoffs, 5-0. They've been really good at home. That crowd's been great. They've been shooting great at home. And I don't see Miami losing 2 games at home. In that case, I could see Boston taking 1 at home. 1 on the road. I can see Boston taking 1 in Miami on the road, but I can't see Boston winning 2 games in a row on the road. In that case, then Boston would be heading in Game 5 down 3-1. So I think Game 2 is a must-win for the Boston Celtics. But moving on from the Eastern Conference Finals, I think whether it's losing in the Eastern Conference Finals or you win this series and despite being down 1-0, and you win this series and you lose in the NBA Finals to one of the Lakers or the Nuggets, I think Jaylen Brown will maybe ask to leave, maybe ask for a trade, or what players do now is they make threats, and I think he could use it. All right, I think most likely next year in free agency, I don't plan on staying. I don't like being the shadow to Jason Tatum, which makes sense. Jaylen Brown is a superstar player. But since Jason Tatum is on that team, I don't think he gets enough recognition as he does just because of how good Jason Tatum is. I think everybody knows he's a really good player, but Jason Tatum, he's the man there, and that may want Jaylen Brown out of there. And I think either maybe losing in the finals back-to-back years could, or not even making it to the finals could push Jaylen to the point where he's ready to move on from Boston and could tell him, okay, well, I'm fine playing here another year, but I'm out after that. I'm leaving free agency, which that makes the point. All right, Boston. All right, we're gonna get rid of him, and we're gonna trade him, and try to get something decent for him, and try to build around Jason Tatum. But I don't think Jaylen Brown goes anywhere if they win the NBA championship. So, and I really, really highly doubt that, but it will be very hard for Boston to want to get rid of Jaylen Brown. I think it'll be very hard for Boston to say goodbye to Jaylen Brown. I think they'll want a lot in a trade for Jaylen Brown, and that's what I'm getting to next, what the Rockets would have to give up. I have 3 players going to the Celtics along with 2 picks for Jaylen Brown, and here it is. Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshawn Tate, and KJ Martin going over to the Boston Celtics for Jaylen Brown, the 4th overall pick, and that is where the Boston Celtics develop their next star next to Jason Tatum, whether it is Brandon Miller or one of the Thompson brothers. A top 4 pick is going to Boston next to Tatum, and then a 2024 first-round pick from the Brooklyn Nets, which if Brooklyn potentially trades to Mikal Bridges, Brooklyn might be a pretty bad team next season, possibly. Because they got Cam Johnson, a free agent, so there's a great chance he might leave the Nets. And then if Mikal gets traded and maybe Nick Claxton as well, then its team is not as good as they were last year. So that 2024 first round pick from Brooklyn might be pretty good for the Rockets. So I think that's a really good first round pick from Brooklyn if they fail badly in 2024. So you get a 2024 first-round pick that belongs to Brooklyn, the 4th overall pick, Kevin Porter Jr., KJ Martin, and Jayshawn Tate. I think it's a decent trade for Boston. I don't think there's a reason to say no for Boston if Jaylen Brown is at the point where he's like, okay, I'm out of here if you don't trade me. I'm out in free agency. This is the last year you're going to get of me. But yeah, so I think that would be a decent move for Boston, but who knows? Maybe a team offers them a superstar. I've heard that Chicago is interested in Jaylen Brown when he maybe hits free agency next season, and maybe if Chicago feels like it, they might offer Zach LaVine straight up. Maybe Zach LaVine in a first round pick to the Boston Celtics for Jaylen Brown. Maybe the Bulls offer that. I don't know. So maybe the Celtics will get better offers than the 4th overall pick, a 2024 first from Brooklyn, and 3 decent players like KPJ, KJ, and Tate. But we'll see. Right now, I think that would be a decent offer by the Rockets, and we'll see what happens. And that's the video. If you guys enjoyed, peace out.